when
That's
I
what I'm saying.
Sweeney, could I ask you real quick just
All
one
group to
question?
the
When
entire
I
exactly you meant with
considered that.
progress? Is this exactly what you meant when you said progress, or are you just talking about monetarily? Period. Is that what you meant
when I said
when you posed the original question?
when I said when I said that black people made more progress than any other group in this country, if you look at what we've done, when you're talking about a group that was sold into slavery, that spent 400 years, that spent over 300 years in bondage, and then came out of that, and where we are today, we made more progress than any other group as far as black people in the world as a collective.
No, you're still in the red. Arrears. Look up the
What are
word.
you talking about arrears?
But
What does that
all right,
mean?
I have a different point for that, right? So I just want us to take into consideration that this is by design, right? When you look at people like Gaddafi who tried to uh, make it
Introduce the
one
whole dinar.
currency and everything else, and then all of a sudden he falls off the map. And there's been so many things
They
that have
killed him.
happened by design.
They killed him
They are the richest resource continent on the planet, right?
in the war.
And they are constantly stolen from. So if they were just left alone to their own devices, they didn't have so much interference, they probably would have been killing it. But by design, there's pressure for Africa as a continent to not do well. It's some people that are very afraid of that, and that's why you see things like that happen historically. Just like how we could talk about the slavery over here. If we talk about what has happened historically and how their resources are constantly ravished by outsiders by design, right, to keep them where they are. So it's impossible to progress when you have people who just have a bunch of weapons, right, to make sure that they can do things the way that they want them to do. So it's tough to even make that type of comparison in the first place, because a lot of this is by design. It's not because they're a different, because if we're saying progress, we're saying, all right, what type of people are they? Maybe they are people who want to progress, but
I'm just making a claim
so,
that I'm making a claim that you're talking about a group and saying that, oh, well, you can't line up 10 black people and they be able to work together. And I'm like, we made more progress because everything, I grant your argument that everything that's happening to them is over there by design. Everything that happened to us over here is also by design. And as a matter of fact, if you look at it, if you look at the Immigration Act that was also attached to the civil rights bills that were passed, we're the reason why people come over here in the first place.
understood.
That's
Not us per se, but
true.
the reason
That's not true.
what we were used for is the reason, not us per se,
Yeah.
not because we
No,
muscled
it's
up
not. It's never.
and said, yeah, no, this is how it's gonna go. It's because of what we were used for.
No, Sweeney, I got. Let me tell you that's not true. I will tell you the reason why what your statement is not correct is this.
How is it not true?
The reason why it's not true is because I've heard that so many times. It was never because of African Americans that Africans start coming here. It's not.
Who came? How
And
did
no, I'm coming, bro. What happened is that African Americans are instrumental in the visa lottery that helped Ethiopia and many countries during the famine of Ethiopia in the 80s. That's correct. But America has always sought Africans to come here to study. We in the early 1900s, because a lot of Africans have been coming here to go to school. We in the early 1900s. No, I'm coming.
That's
I'm sorry?
at best. That's
You said
negligent
what?
at best. The vast majority of African immigrants came over here after 1980. The vast majority.
Okay. Let me say this to you because there's something you don't know about that. Most Africans used to go to London to study.
What does that have to do with America?
No, can you just let people talk so that way I can give you I'm just trying to give you a context, okay? So they first went to UK to study, but America opened up its universities because they found out that England was making a lot of money by allowing internationals to come and study because internationals were bringing a lot of money to the UK. So America opened up its universities, and now in the 80s they started coming here. But guess what happened in the 90s, not the 80s, but in the 90s when Clinton came, there was a famine in Ethiopia. And that's the Ethiopia famine of the 80s he had. So Clinton gave a lot of opportunity for Ethiopians to come here. But Africans, apart from Ethiopia, have always come here to go to school. It has nothing to do with immigration. But what happened is that after school, just like America is doing today, they still want those people to stay because they've gained American universities. And then they offer their family members visa to come here also to stay. So most Africans, by 80%, come here for education,
So,
not for immigration. It's
so,
mostly for education.
so Akine, prior to that, Title VII, if you know somebody can course correct me if I'm using the wrong word. Title VII allow for the removal of discrimination in the racial quota, which allow Africans to be able to be immigrated here. So it's a direct correlation to the civil rights
Okay.
movement in 1960.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay. Let me tell you one thing. Let me go ahead, please.
Let me say one thing. I think Trev Smooth was on his way to it when he brought into the resources that Africa have. That everybody try to go. I think you said the word ravage. That countries, other countries from the outside try to come and get in. So with that, if that is true, and I believe it's true, we'd also have to associate military with a country's or a people's wealth as well. Because you can be rich, but if you're rich and your military is powerful, that's a whole nother level. Because then it doesn't matter how much money this country has. If my military is the most powerful, I can come and take what the fuck I want. So when we put on uniform, it's a whole different ballgame. We could talk currency 100%. For hours right now, but when we put that damn flag on our shoulder, it's a whole nother ballgame. The wealth changes at that point.
Yeah, what you're saying is correct, but in order not to digress, right? Most, like I said, most Africans, I would say in the last 2 years, if you go to this, in the last 2 years, a lot of Africans have been coming here for what you're talking about, not even in the 80s or the 90s, but in the last 2 years, yes. That is why in Nigeria, if you look at Nigerian programs, which I think you do see them online, they say JAPA, JAPA, right? It started in the last 2 years because it's mostly for medical doctors, because Africa hasn't invested enough of money in the healthcare system. So the medical doctors have actually not other fields, medical doctors only. Medical doctors have been leaving Africa in huge number, which has caused great panic in Africa now, and they're trying to fix it by building a lot of hospitals and building healthcare system and bringing in insurance companies in order to stabilize that field. Apart from that field, and I will tell you this again, let me just put this. Africa has been losing a lot in healthcare service, right? But the rest of the field, like manufacturing, technology, Africa doesn't lose anybody to the West for that. And most Africans that you see here, like I said, just like me, and most of them, is education. They just didn't pack their bag. I gotta tell you, without education, you're not gonna see me in the United States. It's the education.
The problem
without education, I'm not gonna be here. And that's how most Africans do.
Why do they come here to get education when they're supposed to have all this wealth?
Okay, guess what? I will say that, right? Primary education in the United States sucks, which is elementary school and high school in the US sucks. Primary education and high school in Africa are very, very powerful. That is why you see African students come here and do better. You see, but then when you get to tertiary is where the game changes, because of the most companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, they are all here in the United States for better opportunity.
So why
and no easier way?
I don't think exist.
I'm answering your question. And most easier way to get to United States and to get to those companies is to study here in the United States. You see what I'm saying? But now the same companies now are going to Nigeria to establish their own companies, because now Nigeria especially and South Africa are rivaling Google, Facebook, because now they are building their own companies now. Like right before COVID, Africa, that is why now Nigeria is the fastest growing tech country in the whole world today, because of the amount of technology companies. That is why you see Bill Gates went to Nigeria 4 times last year. In fact, the third largest Microsoft facility today is in Nigeria, in Lagos. And Mark Zuckerberg has been there countless, recruiting people, building Facebook facility over there. You see what I'm saying? So in the next 10 years,
using the people, the sweatshops over there.
Oh, no. So basically what you're saying is white
it's something that happened with China in the 80s. Go ahead, Sue.
And then, whoa, hold up. And then when I say your statements are ignorant, you want to, your panties getting a bunch.
No,
Where did sweatshops come from?
Who are you talking to?
Kenny, please.
Okay, Darwin, where did
Kenny, this is
sweatshops
exchange
come
of
from?
ideas. We just haven't
I'm
discussed
asking the man a justified question. If a
No.
billionaire is coming over there to get tech going, it begs the question that how are they able to, if they're not using the people in America, and you just referenced China, right, in the 1980s.
Okay,
you said the same, hold on real quick. He said the same thing happened in the 1980s with China. When people start going over to China to create these facilities where they had people on assembly line working. Isn't that, can't you see how that relates to the question of me asking, okay, why did Bill Gates go over there?
Allow me to answer what you just said. When have you ever heard Google associated with sweatshops?
I'm just asking a question, dude.
No. I heard what you said. I gave you time to get it out.
No, I wasn't asking you the question. I was asking.
No, I'm asking you.
So can you do us a favor and mute?
No, because I thought that was real corny.
Can you
did while he's trying to make a point?
Think about it internally. Let me finish asking this.
I did let you finish.
I wasn't talking to you.
Asked my question.
Listen, I was not addressing you. I was
okay. We're on a panel. I'm addressing.
I was addressing. What's your name? Am I pronouncing it right? Ikini. Ikini.
Last time I checked, we're on a panel.
Hold on.
How would you associate?
I don't need you to bodyguard him. Bro.
No. I'm not. I'm asking you a question. I'm not doing what you do.
He's a grown man. He got his own balls between his legs. Let him speak for himself.
Okay, now I'm gonna address it again. So I asked the question after you landed your plane.
Can you take a break? Can you take a break and just let me finish my dialogue with Ikini?
Actually, you did. That's why when you stop, that's when I asked the question. That's when I asked the question. How would you associate Google with sweatshops? Exactly.
Are you finished?
Exactly.
Are you finished? Are you finished?
Exactly.
Are you finished?
Kenny, you're doing a good job dealing with ignorance. You understand?
No,
and you know why? They should be listening to you more because you get your son on that soil and at least have like tangible things.
Kenny, please.
That is crazy.
This is exchange of ideas and discussion.
Okay, when
let's not call names.
It's an exchange of ideas when it's done in good faith.
Okay, let me say something real quick. Kenny, let you and I have this conversation. Kenny, let you and I have this conversation. You see, if sometimes when we talk about things like this, I don't take offense in it. You know why? Because if I haven't been somewhere, I might make certain statements that are not in line because of what I have from other people. So it's incumbent on somebody that has been there to then correct those things. What we're having is discussion whereby correctness can happen too. Because there are so many things that are said tonight that I'm ignorant of, that I'm just learning for the first time. But what I'm also asking is that the rest of us also hear me out or hear Kenny out, but let's not call names in between or interrupt each other. But Bruiser, you got a question for me.
So here's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong. What I was saying was, you said that Bill Gates was making trips back and forth to the country, right?
Yes. And
you also stated that that country has become the fastest tech growing country or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'm doing is I'm probably doing what any person would do. Okay, Cole, why do you go to a foreign country to do business? And from my understanding, I would think that they were getting more bang for their buck by using people like on assembly lines, or you can call it sweatshops. I don't know if that's a derogatory statement, but if it is, I apologize. But You get what I'm saying? It would be more lucrative and a better business move to use people who are, I don't want to say disenfranchised, but don't require much wages as the country that you're in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
So
what
you can
you're
get
saying, but
a
this is
larger ROI, return on your investment.
yeah. But look at it this way, right? Back in the 80s, right? There are two countries that underwent something like this. It's called China and India, right? China was for manufacturing, India was for tech. So United States knew that Indian students were becoming very, very proficient in technology. They started moving their companies over there in order to choke India tech companies so that they will not train these people and then end up demanding higher pay for their service. So they went and slowed that down. And that's the same thing they did in China, because China was rising technologically. They went and established a lot of American companies over there in order to hire those Chinese companies, so that Chinese people will know, hire them and then pay them higher minimum wage. That higher wage, that's what is happening in Nigeria today. A lot of Nigerian tech companies are coming up, and America took notice that these tech guys are now going to cause problem in the system. So what Microsoft is doing is to go there and establish Microsoft and take its brain drain, but this brain drain is not coming to America, it's actually in Africa. So they buy time. They come and sometimes they buy those Nigerian companies, buy them out, take them out of business. The ones that will survive. Some will be bought out and absorbed into these American companies. They do it everywhere. But Nigerians can also play the game too, which is Nigerians have to also keep hiring these Nigerian techs, keep building Nigerian technological system, which they are doing. But remember, the dollar, just like Sweeney was saying, the dollar has a huge value, right? So they will offer these Nigerian workers better money than Nigerian companies will offer. But that will be for so long, because there'll come a time when Nigerians have to still catch up. But yes, right now, the dollar is doing that damage, because most of these Nigerian guys will go to that Google headquarters in Nigeria, right, to work because it's more beautiful, the pay is better, but Nigeria is going to catch up with them. So that is what I'm saying, is that in Nigeria, don't think that Nigerians are leaving Nigeria to come here per se. No, some of them have actually come here, learned that thing, and took it back to Nigeria.
Most of them don't, though.
No, most of them don't, because guess what? Just like I said one time, people that create jobs are only 3 to 6% of the population that creates jobs. Most people always work for somebody.
So
by 80%.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Then I get why. See, there's an understanding as to why the situation is what it is over here, right? Black folks sold into slavery. We come out of that. Most of us are a wealthless group in this country. Most of the wealth is concentrated in the group that owns the country. I get that. But now, we're talking about a country that is all black, why is it that you need Microsoft? Why is it that y'all are leaving that country and taking all your resources and you're running to another country, or you're giving it to another company? Why isn't it developing on its own? Because I
don't understand what you mean.
If you said y'all have a great primary school education, right? Yeah. How does that not translate into a great secondary education?
It's called moving the goalposts, Kenny.
No, he made a mistake. I told you that Nigeria has better primary and secondary education than the United States. I said they have both.
So why
better than yours?
Why is it
tertiary? It's the tertiary that the difference comes in.
So why is it that you have to run here to get your secondary education?
No, that's okay. That is not what I said. I said tertiary, not second. I said tertiary. Tertiary.
Don't say secondary.
Tertiary.
Why do you have to come here for that? If you have
let me explain that to you.
Run for tertiary.
let me explain that to you. The reason why the tertiary institutions are higher in the United States is because United States, two things happen: the government and the companies, right? Like Microsoft, Google, Lockheed, Bell Helicopter, Raytheon, all these companies, right? They all combine together and put massive wealth into the universities in the United States because number one, the United States universities are market strategy for the country, but also source of R&D, which is research and development. So what they do basically is because of this investment in these universities, it attracts not just Nigeria, all over the world, both China, English, German, they all come here, not just Nigeria. Every country has somebody here in the university, but they don't have in the secondary school, they don't. But they do have in the university because America is a universities in America is a magnet for the whole world. So this is not just exclusive to Nigeria.
There. So, but why doesn't it exist there? If you have a great primary and you have a great secondary, why is it that you need to come here for your education and not only come here for your education, but you don't even go back? Most of them don't go back. Most of them stay.
Okay.
So if
let me see if I can. I think I know.
No. Let me answer that question real quick. Let me answer that question real quick, so you can get it, Bruiser. You think that most of them don't go back? That's not true.
No, it's
most of
proven that most of them do
That's
not.
Why I wanted to answer because he was gonna go.
Most of them do go back.
No, they don't.
Go ahead, Bruiser.
Well, let me tell me if I'm wrong, and this might be able to answer it. From my understanding, is reason why a lot of Africans come over here to get further whatever you said they needed, certifications or whatever, higher education, is because of the job. I would say employment gentrification, so to speak. The Americans coming in there and they setting up these jobs and stuff, and they requiring you to have a degree or some type of certification in which you got to go all the way to America to go get it to come back to your country then in order to work.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
So what they do here, like I said, America is a melting pot when it comes to tertiary education. No country America never succeeded in technology until immigrants started coming here in the early 1900s or late 1800s. So now you have change of ideas. People come with their knowledge from different parts of the world, and then they all come together. That's American Industrial Revolution started, right? But without that, the Industrial Revolution was in Europe. It didn't come to America until immigrants started coming here. It's the same thing. So if you are a monological or whatever country, right? You can't break through technology-wise if you don't have immigrants, or if you don't migrate somewhere else to seek that knowledge where it is very, very I would say obvious or porous. But in the case of United States is a place where people come to get knowledge because it's a melting pot for tertiary education. So what they do is that some of them take it back, especially people in the engineering courses. They take it back, just like me. I came to the United States, right? Studied here, but I go to Nigeria often. Why do I go to Nigeria? I go to Nigeria because there are companies there that me and some group of people will run that are engineering companies, right? Different type of engineering companies that were established over there. So that doesn't mean I live all the time in America. No, I go back and forth. A lot of Africans, a lot of Nigerians and Africans do the same thing. That is why whenever you go into any flight going to Europe, there are a lot of Africans in those flights going to Europe or going to Africa. Why? Because we are not always here. So, Sweeney, we're not always here. We always go back 4, 5, 6 times a year because we have businesses there too. Most of us have businesses in Africa, but our children are here in the United States. But we have businesses already. So we just don't. I don't live in the United States alone. I live in both countries.
So you're saying that your children are raised here, but you have
my wife is African. My wife is African American. You see what I'm saying? So my children be raised here because guess what? Okay, let me say this to you. Do you know how many times? Do you know how many times? Okay.
So
Let
your
me put it
entire
this way,
life
right?
is based on the American dream.
Let me say this, right? Can you explain to me what is American dream? Because I don't understand what you mean by that.
I mean, I think it's just a concept. It's subjective to the person. The American
glad you
dream
said.
can be just coming here and being able to flourish as a human.
Okay, let me say this to you. I think I've said it before. I don't need to come to America to survive in life because I've already survived it before I came here, right? America has nothing to offer me to survive, and the same with every Nigerian. You remember, if you look at it, I left a comment earlier when we were having this conversation before I came up here. I said that most Nigerians come here because they thought that the grass was greener on the other side.
Is it not?
And it's not.
So
Because I got to tell
greener in the United States.
Huh?
The grass ain't greener in the United States.
No, it's not. It's not, because when I first came here, I was shocked by the level of poverty that I met.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So
I was shocked by the level of poverty that I met.
what is your permanent residence?
I'm a citizen of both countries.
I said, what is your permanent residence?
I'm a citizen of both. I have permanent address on both sides of the Atlantic with my family here.
And where?
In the US.
All right, I'm going. Yeah, I'll holler at y'all.
Okay.